The year was 2287. Humanity had been fighting the Nayari Collective for almost 10 years. The war stretched across many star systems and had claimed millions of lives. Captain Abby Winters stood on the bridge of the UEF Stormbreaker, her eyes focused on the main screen showing the vast darkness of space ahead. The Stormbreaker was new with technology no other ship had. It could hide from enemy sensors better than any vessel ever made. Abby was 38, with short brown hair and eyes that had seen too much war. She wore the dark blue uniform of the United Earth Fleet with the 4 gold stars of a captain on her collar. She had commanded 3 ships before this one, but the Stormbreaker was special. Admiral Lane has called me to her office, Abby told her second-in-command, Lieutenant Kira Monroe. I think they have a mission for us. Kira nodded. She was younger than Abby, with red hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her face showed concern. We just finished our test flights, Captain R. We ready for a real mission? Abby smiled a little. We better be later that day. Abby sat in Admiral Lane's office. The Admiral was an older woman with gray hair and a face marked by years of difficult decisions. The Nayari have taken Sector 47, the Admiral said, looking at a holographic map. The sector glowed red, showing it was under enemy control. They now control the route to 3 of our colony systems. We need to do something. Bold Abby studied the map. What are you thinking? Admiral Lane pressed a button and the map zoomed in to show a specific area deep in Nayari territory. Here is their quantum communication hub. Our intelligence found it last month. It lets their ships talk to each other instantly across any distance. If we destroy it, Abby said their fleets won't be able to coordinate exactly. The Admiral nodded. But getting to it would mean sending a ship deep into their territory past all their defenses. No fleet could do it. They would detect it and respond in force. Abby understood. Immediately, you want to send one ship a ship they might not see. The Admiral looked directly at Abby. The Stormbreaker has the best stealth systems we've ever built. If any ship can slip past their defenses, it's yours. But I won't lie to you, Captain. This is likely a one-way mission. Abby thought about her crew. Many were young on their first deep space assignment. Would she volunteer them for what might be a suicide mission? I need your answer by tomorrow. The Admiral said. That night, Abby couldn't sleep. She looked at pictures of Earth, of her home in the mountains of what was once called Colorado. She thought about the colonies that would fall if the Nayari kept control of Sector 47. Millions more would die. The war might be lost by morning. Her decision was made. The next day, the senior officers of the Stormbreaker gathered in the ship's conference room. Abby told them about the mission. They sat in silence when she finished. This is volunteer only. Abby said clearly, I will not order anyone to go. Kira spoke first. You know I'm in Captain Maya Ellis. The chief engineer nodded. I just got the engines running perfectly. Would be a shame not to see what they can do. One by one, the other officers agreed. Communications Officer Diane Taylor. Science Officer Nicole Hayes. Security Chief Brooke Morgan. All of them chose to go. The rest of the crew was given the same choice. A few asked to transfer off, but most stayed, true to her word. Abby approved all transfer requests without question. 3 days later, the Stormbreaker was ready. Admiral Lane came aboard one last time. She handed Abby a small metal box secured with a high-level encryption lock. These are additional orders, she said. Only open this when you reach the Tharsis Nebula. It contains information about a secondary mission and instructions for a special device in cargo hold 7. Abby took the box. What device? The Admiral shook her head. I can't tell you more. Just know that what you're carrying might change everything that evening. The Stormbreaker slipped away from the human fleet. Its stealth systems engaged, making it nearly invisible to sensors. It would take 2 weeks to reach Nayari space and another week to get to the communication hub. If they made it that far, as the ship accelerated away from the last human outpost, Kira joined Abby at the observation window. What do you think our real chances are, Captain? She asked quietly. Abby watched as the stars stretched into lines as they jumped to faster-than-light travel. Better than the Admiral thinks, I hope. Do you want to know why I volunteered? Kira asked. Abby turned to look at her second-in-command. My sister was on Proxima Colony when the Nayari took it. Kira said we never found out what happened to the civilians. Sorry, Abby said. Meaning it, Kira shook her head. It's why we all volunteered. Everyone on this ship has lost someone. If this mission can help end the war, then it's worth any risk. Abby nodded, thinking about the mysterious box and what it might contain. She hadn't told anyone about the additional orders or the device in cargo hold 7. Whatever it was, the Admiral thought it was important enough to risk their ship and crew. After Kira left, Abby remained at the window. Her ship was carrying 157 crew, members into enemy territory. The Stormbreaker might never come back, but if they succeeded, they might save countless lives. Abby made a silent promise. They would complete their mission no matter the cost as the Stormbreaker vanished into deep space. No one knew that this single ship was about to change the course of the war, in ways no one could have predicted. The Tharsis Nebula spread before the Stormbreaker like a vast ocean of purple and blue gas. Captain Abby Winters stood on the bridge watching as they entered the outer edges. Their enhanced stealth drive continued to hide them from Nayari sensors, but moving through the nebula would be difficult. The gas and dust could damage their engines if they moved too quickly. Science Officer Nicole Hayes studied her readings with growing confusion. Captain, I am detecting unusual radiation patterns. She said these don't match any known Nayari technology. What do you think it is? Abby asked, moving to look at Nicole's screen. I don't know, Nicole admitted, but it's artificial and massive. Whatever the Nayari are building here, it's bigger than intelligence. Suggested Communications Officer Diane Taylor spoke up from her station. I am picking up heavy communication traffic, all encrypted and using frequencies we haven't seen before. Abby considered this information. Take us in deeper, she ordered, but maintain stealth. We need to see what they're hiding. The Stormbreaker moved carefully through the colorful gases. Chief Engineer Maya Ellis monitored the engines, constantly making adjustments to prevent overheating. The nebula grew thicker around them, reducing. Visibility sensors are having trouble penetrating the nebula gases, Kira reported from Tactical. We need to get closer. After 4 hours of slow, careful movement. Nicole suddenly straightened in her chair. Captain, I have visual on a structure ahead. Put it on screen, Abby ordered. The main display showed a massive installation. It dwarfed anything the humans had built in space. Dark metal structures stretched for kilometers. Multiple Nayari vessels moved around it like insects around a hive. Magnify, Abby commanded. The image zoomed in, showing details of the installation. That's not just a communication hub, Kira said quietly. That's a construction facility. Nicole continued scanning. The central structure appears to be the communication hub we were sent to destroy. But these outer sections, they are building something else. Something huge. As they watched, a section of the facility opened, revealing a partially constructed device. The device was shaped like a massive ring with smaller structures surrounding it. Can you tell what it is? Abby asked. Nicole worked her controls. Running analysis programs, I am detecting gravitational anomalies around that ring. They appear to be artificially generated and controlled. Maya, who had joined them on the bridge, looked concerned. A controlled gravitational field of that size, she said, could be used as a weapon. A way to collapse a star or destroy a planet. The bridge fell silent as the implications became clear. They are building a superweapon, Abby said. Finally, one that could destroy our homeworlds. Our mission just got a lot more important, Kira stated. Abby nodded. We need more information. Position us closer to the facility, but maintain maximum stealth. I want detailed scans of that weapon in the communication hub. For the next 2 days, the Stormbreaker observed the Nayari facility. The crew worked in shifts, gathering data and monitoring communications. Nicole and Maya analyzed the weapon, while Diane continued to intercept and decode Nayari transmissions. On the 3rd day, Diane called an emergency meeting. I have been analyzing the Nayari communication, she explained, and I've found something strange. There appears to be a disagreement among their leadership. What kind of disagreement? Abby asked. Some of their commanders are opposed to the superweapon, Diane said. They think it's too extreme. They call it genocide. Abby looked surprised. The Nayari had always seemed united in their aggression against humans. The idea of dissent among them was new and potentially important. "Can you identify which Nayari support this view?" she asked. Diane nodded. "I believe so. There is a faction led by someone named Salith. They control a small outpost on the edge of the nebula. They are still loyal to the collective. But they oppose this weapon specifically. This could be useful." Brooke Morgan, the security chief, noted. "We might be able to use this division to our advantage." Abby considered their options. Their original mission was to destroy the communication hub, but now they knew about the superweapon too. Both needed to be eliminated, but the Stormbreaker alone might not have the firepower to destroy such a large installation. "What about the phase disruptor?" Kira suggested. "Could we use it against the weapon?" Maya shook her head. "The phase disruptor has a limited range. It would disable their systems temporarily but not destroy the facility." Nicole spoke up. "But what if we could modify it?" she suggested. "If we could adapt it to target the specific frequency of the superweapon, it might be able to cause a cascading failure in their gravitational controls. That would be catastrophic," Maya said. "If the gravitational field collapsed while active, it could create a chain reaction destroying the entire facility." "But can we modify it?" Abby asked. Maya thought for a moment. "Maybe with help from someone who knows more about Nayari technology. Someone like these dissidents, perhaps." The suggestion hung in the air. Contact with any Nayari, even those who might share their opposition to the superweapon, would be extremely risky. "I need time to think about this," Abby said. Finally, after hours of consideration, she called her senior staff together again. "We've been sent on a mission that looked impossible from the start," she began. "We are one ship deep in enemy territory against a target that grows more important by the hour. Our duty is clear. We must destroy both the communication hub and this superweapon, but I believe we need help to do it." She turned to Diane. "Have you continued monitoring the dissident communications?" "Yes, Captain," Diane replied. "They seem genuine in their opposition to the weapon. I believe they fear it could escalate the war beyond control, maybe even lead to mutual destruction." Abby took a deep breath. "Then I am authorizing a high-risk operation," she said. "We will attempt to contact the Nayari dissidents." The room erupted in surprised voices. "I know this is unexpected." Abby continued, raising her hand for quiet. "But consider what we've learned. The Nayari are not a single-minded enemy. Some of them oppose this weapon just as we do. They might be willing to help us destroy it. It's a huge risk," Kira pointed out. "If they betray us, the entire mission fails." Brooke Morgan nodded. "But," added, "the captain is right. We need allies. The superweapon is too important to ignore and too big for us to handle alone." After much debate, they developed a plan. Brooke would lead a small team to the dissident outpost using one of the Stormbreaker's shuttles. The shuttle had its own stealth system, though not as advanced as the ships. They would attempt to make contact with the faction led by Salith. That night, Abby sat alone in her quarters. She looked at the holographic image of Earth slowly, rotating above her desk. What she was planning went far beyond her orders. It might be considered treason by some. Cooperating with the enemy was unprecedented, but in her heart, she knew it was their only chance. The next morning, Brooke and her team prepared to depart. They wore modified environmental suits that would hide their human life signs. The plan was to approach the outpost, detect security measures, and find a way to communicate without being killed immediately. As the shuttle prepared to launch, Abby addressed the team. "This mission goes against everything we've been taught about the Nayari," she said. "But sometimes winning requires the courage to try something new. Good luck." The shuttle departed, slipping away from the Stormbreaker and heading toward the coordinates of the dissident outpost. The remaining crew could only wait and hope. They had no way to communicate with the shuttle without risking detection. Hours passed, with no word. Abby paced the bridge, checking the time, repeatedly. Finally, after almost a full day, a signal appeared on their secure channel. "Captain, this is Brooke." She sounded tense but alive. We made contact. The Nayari have us, but we're not prisoners exactly. Are you safe? Abby asked immediately. Yes, Brooke, replied. We are with Selith, the leader of the dissidents. They want to talk to you. They say they can help us destroy the superweapon. Send coordinates, Abby ordered. We are on our way, as the Stormbreaker changed course. Abby wondered if she was making the biggest mistake of her career or taking the first step towards something that could change the course of the war forever. They would soon find out. The Stormbreaker approached the coordinates Brooke had sent. They maintained stealth mode, moving carefully through the outer reaches of the nebula. Abby stood on the bridge, tense and alert. This meeting would either save their mission or doom it. Kira looked up from her tactical station. Captain, we are being scanned, but it's a different frequency than standard Nayari scans. That will be them, Abby said. They are making sure we came alone. A message appeared on the main communication screen. The language was Nayari but translated into English. Human vessel, power down weapons and follow our guide ship. We mean you no harm. Abby hesitated, then gave the order. Weapons to standby mode only. She instructed. Follow their ship, but maintain defensive shields. A small Nayari vessel appeared ahead of them. It was sleeker than the military ships they had seen. Its hull was marked with blue symbols, rather than the red markings of the collective fleet. The guide ship led them to what appeared to be an abandoned mining facility built into a large asteroid. The facility was dark except for a few lights marking a docking area. Take us in, Abby ordered. The Stormbreaker docked carefully, connecting to the Nayari airlock. Abby selected a small team to accompany. Her security chief Brooke was already inside with her team. Chief Engineer Maya would come to discuss the phase disruptor. Lieutenant Kira would provide tactical support, and Diane would translate if needed. The rest of you stay alert, Abby told the bridge crew. If anything seems wrong, get the ship out of here. That is a direct order. The team cycled through the airlock and entered the Nayari facility. The air was breathable but had a strange, sweet smell. The gravity was slightly lighter than Earth standard, making them feel bouncy as they walked. Brooke was waiting for them. Her team looked nervous but unharmed. We are good, Captain, she reported. They have been respectful, even helpful. Selith wants to meet you in their command center. Brooke continued, it's not far. Abby nodded. Lead the way. They walked through dimly lit corridors. The architecture was angular with sharp edges and tall ceilings designed for the Nayari's greater height. The walls were decorated with swirling patterns that seemed to move in the low light. The command center was a large circular room with multiple display screens. A group of Nayari stood waiting. The tallest stepped forward. This one was almost 2.5 meters tall, with the characteristic blue, scaled skin of their species. 4 arms emerged from their torso, 2 ending in hands with 3 fingers each. The other 2 were smaller. Secondary limbs for fine manipulation. I am Selith, the Nayari said, in heavily accented English. Their mouth parts clicked as they formed the unfamiliar sounds. I command this outpost and those who oppose the great weapon, Captain Abby Winters of the UEF Stormbreaker. Abby replied, I understand you wish to help us. Selith made a gesture that might have been a nod. We share a goal. Human, the weapon must not be used. It breaks all codes of war. It would destroy entire worlds, innocent and guilty alike. Your leaders seem to disagree. Abby pointed out, not all leaders. Selith responded, some support it. Others remain silent out of fear. I and my followers have chosen to act. Another Nayari stepped forward, this one wearing what appeared to be some kind of scientific garb. The weapon is scheduled for its first test in 72 hours. This one said, it will target an uninhabited system, but once proven it will be aimed at your homeworlds. Why help us? Kira asked suspiciously. You have been killing humans for years. Selith turned their large eyes toward Kira. War has rules, human. Even in hatred, there must be limits. The weapon crosses those limits, it is an abomination. We have our own weapon, Abby said carefully, watching for their reaction. A device that might disable the superweapon temporarily. The scientist Nayari made an excited clicking sound. You speak of your phase, technology. We have detected traces of it. I believe it could be modified to target the gravitational matrices of the weapon. Maya stepped forward. You know about our phase disruptor. The scientist made a gesture that seemed to indicate pride. We have studied your technology as you have studied ours. In this case, your phase technology and our knowledge of the weapon could work together. For several hours, Maya and the Nayari scientist discussed technical details. Diane and Brooke talked with other dissidents gathering intelligence about the facility's defenses. Abby and Selith moved to a private chamber to discuss strategy. The superweapon facility has multiple layers of defense. Selith explained, showing a holographic map. Many guard ships automated, weapon platforms, internal security forces. How did you get this information? Abby asked. Some of my people work within the facility. Selith answered. They believe, as I do, that this weapon goes too far. Together they developed a plan. The Stormbreaker would use its stealth capabilities to approach the facility from behind, using the nebula's gases for additional cover. Selith's forces would create a distraction, drawing away some of the defending ships. The human ship would then deploy teams to critical points in the facility. Your phase disruptor, modified by our scientists, can target the power core, Selith explained, but it must be placed directly at the core. It cannot be remote activated. A suicide mission. Abby stated. Selith made a gesture of regret. Perhaps, but my people and I accept this. If the weapon fires, no world will be safe. Not yours, not even ours. Eventually, Abby returned to the Stormbreaker with the others. The Nayari scientists came aboard to help Maya modify the phase disruptor. The crew watched these first-ever Nayari visitors with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. In engineering, Maya and 3 Nayari worked on the device. It was removed from cargo hold 7 and brought to the main engineering bay. The cylindrical object was approximately 2 meters long with complex circuitry inside. If we reconfigure these emitters, the lead Nayari scientist explained, it will create a resonance cascade in the weapon's gravitational field. Maya nodded. This could work, she agreed. But someone will have to manually activate it at the core. I will do it, the Nayari scientist said. My life for my people's honor, on the bridge. Abby called a meeting of all senior staff. The modified plan was more dangerous than their original mission. Instead of just destroying the communication hub, they would now attempt to destroy the superweapon too. The odds of success are low, Kira pointed out. And the odds of survival after are even lower. I know, Abby said, but the stakes are too high to ignore. If that weapon becomes operational, billions will die. What do you want to do? Captain Brooke asked. Abby looked at each of them. The plan requires volunteers. The Stormbreaker will need to hold position long enough for teams to place charges on the communication hub and for the Nayari scientists to reach the weapons core with the phase disruptor. Once both objectives are complete, we will have minutes to evacuate before the chain reaction destroys everything. The room was silent for a moment. I need to know where each of you stands, Abby said. This goes beyond our original orders. If any of you want to return to human space with what we've learned, I will understand. Kira spoke first. My sister died fighting the Nayari. If working with them now means stopping that weapon, I'm in. One by one, the others agreed. Nicole Hayes nodded firmly. Diane Taylor gave a thumbs up. Maya Ellis said she would follow the captain anywhere. Brooke Morgan simply said, You know my answer. Abby felt pride in her crew. Then it's settled. We proceed with the mission. The Stormbreaker might not return, but we will complete our task. That night, as final preparations were made, Abby recorded messages for the families of her crew and for Admiral Lane explaining their actions. She included all the data they had gathered about the superweapon and the Nayari dissidents. The information was stored in a special probe that would be launched toward human space before the attack began. In her quarters, Abby looked once more at the holographic image of Earth. She thought about the millions of people living there, unaware that their fate might depend on what happened in the next few days. She thought about her own family, her parents in the Colorado mountains, her brother and his children. They might never know what happened to her, but they would be safe. That was enough. The next morning, the combined human Nayari force began final preparations. The Stormbreaker was as ready as it could be. The damage from their earlier battle had been partially repaired with help from the Nayari engineers. Systems were at 90% capacity. The phase disruptor was modified, and Ready Seleth came aboard for a final meeting. "We attack in 6 hours," they said. "Our vessels will move first, creating a diversion at the outer perimeter. Your ship will follow under stealth. My people inside will disable key security systems as you approach." Abby extended her hand in the human gesture of agreement. Seleth looked at it curiously, then extended one. Of their own hands, they shook, sealing the unprecedented alliance as. Seleth departed. Abby addressed her crew over the ship-wide communication system. "Today we fight alongside those who were our enemies," she began. "We do this not because we have forgotten our losses, but because we see a greater threat. We fight to save lives on both sides. This is what separates us from those who would use the superweapon. This is what makes us human, our ability to see beyond hatred when survival demands it. If we do not return, know that we gave our lives for the greatest cause there is peace." The crew responded with determined silence, each preparing in their own way for what might be their final mission. The countdown to attack had begun. The attack began exactly as planned. Seleth's forces moved against the outer defenses of the facility. 3 Nayari ships with dissident crews launched an assault on a security checkpoint. Their weapons flashed in the darkness of space. The main Nayari defense fleet responded immediately, moving to intercept what they believed was a small rebel attack. "Now," Abby ordered. The Stormbreaker moved forward under full stealth. The nebula gases swirled around the ship, helping to mask its approach. On the bridge, Abby watched as the tactical display showed the Nayari defense ships moving away from their position. "The diversion is working," Kira reported. "They have pulled 8 cruisers away from the facility." As they approached, Diane monitored communications. "The Nayari are trying to coordinate their response," she said. "But they seem confused. Some of their ships aren't receiving orders." The communication hub, Abby realized. Our presence in the nebula must be disrupting some of their transmissions. They reached the outer edge of the facility without detection. The massive structure loomed ahead, sections of it still under construction. The partially completed superweapon ring was visible now, its enormous size becoming apparent. Inside, agents have disabled perimeter sensors in Section 14, Brooke reported from security. "That is our entry point." Abby gave the command. "Take us in." Slow and steady. The Stormbreaker moved into position alongside the facility, using one of the construction zones as cover. Now came the most dangerous part. "Deployment teams ready," Abby ordered. 3 teams prepared to leave the ship. Team 1, led by Brooke, would plant explosives on the communication hub. Team 2, under Kira's command, would secure an evacuation route. Team 3, consisting of Maya and the Nayari scientist, would take the phase disruptor to the superweapons core launch Abby commanded. The teams moved out using small personal stealth units. The Stormbreaker would remain in position, providing support and waiting to extract them. The mission timeline was tight. They had 45 minutes to reach their targets, place their devices, and return before detonation. 20 minutes after deployment, the first problem arose. Captain Kira called over the secure channel. "We have encountered a security patrol path to extraction point blocked. Can you find an alternate route?" Abby asked. "Negative," Kira responded. "Too many guards. We need a distraction." Abby made a quick decision. "We will give them something to worry about," she said to the bridge crew. "Drop stealth on the port side only. Make it look like a malfunction." The Stormbreaker partially decloaked on one side. As expected, Nayari security systems detected them immediately. Alarms sounded throughout the facility. Multiple ships approaching from Sector 7. The tactical officer warned. "Maintain position," Abby ordered. "We need to give the teams time." The first Nayari cruiser appeared, firing immediately. The Stormbreaker took hits to its port side. Damage alarms sounded. Throughout the ship return fire, Abby commanded target their weapon systems only. The human ship fired its main weapons, striking the Nayari cruiser with precision. The enemy ship's weapons went offline, but it continued to advance. A second Nayari vessel appeared, then a third. The Stormbreaker was soon surrounded, firing in multiple directions at once. Shield strength at 60%. The tactical officer reported, "Captain, the communication hub team is in position." Diane relayed, "Charges set. Timer activated 1. Objective complete." Abby acknowledged. Now they needed to hold position until the phase disruptor team reached the core. More Nayari ships arrived. The battle intensified. The Stormbreaker shook with each impact. Damage reports came in from multiple decks, hull breaches, emergency force fields, failing fires in the lower sections. "We can't take much more of this," Abby knew. But they had to hold. Captain Maya called, her voice breaking up through static. "We've reached the core. But the Nayari scientist is wounded and proceeding alone." "Maya," Abby said, "you need to set the device and get out." There was a pause. Then Maya's voice, calm and determined. "I understand the procedure, Captain." The scientist explained it. "The device needs to be calibrated to the core frequency. It will take a few minutes." More hits rocked the ship. A console exploded on the bridge, injuring 2 crew members. Medical teams rushed to assist them. Shield strength at 30%. The tactical officer reported hull integrity failing. "In sections 12 through 17, Team 1 is returning." Diane announced Brooke and her team were on their way back. A massive blast hit the Stormbreaker from behind. A Nayari battleship had arrived, larger than any they had faced before. "We're losing power." "Kira," shouted, "main engines offline." Captain Maya called again. "Devices set. Chain reaction will begin in 10 minutes. The communication cut off. Maya." Abby called Maya. "Respond." Nothing. Kira's team reported in. "We're cut off from the extraction point. Too many Nayari between us and the ship." Abby faced the hardest decision of her command. The Stormbreaker was critically damaged. They could not reach all the teams. The mission was accomplished, but escape now seemed impossible. "I need options," she demanded. The tactical officer looked up. "The only functioning systems are weapons, life support, and the emergency thrusters. We have no FTL capability." Seleth contacted them, their voice urgent. "Captain Winters, my ships can extract some of your people. We are docking on the south side of the facility." Abby made her decision. "Send all available teams to the south docking bay," she ordered. "Evacuate to Seleth's ships." "What about the Stormbreaker?" Kira asked over the channel. Abby looked around the damaged bridge. There was only one choice left. "This ship still has one mission to complete." She ordered all remaining crew to evacuate using the escape pods, directing them to rendezvous with Seleth's vessels. Once the bridge was empty except for herself and 2 volunteer officers, she set a new course. The Stormbreaker's emergency thrusters engaged, pushing the damaged ship toward the center of the facility, toward the superweapons core. The same location where Maya had placed the phase disruptor. "Maya's device will trigger a chain reaction," Abby explained to the remaining officers, "but a direct impact from our ship will ensure complete destruction." The Nayari ships fired desperately, trying to stop them. But the Stormbreaker pushed forward. The superweapon loomed ahead, growing larger on the view screen. The timer on Maya's device showed 3 minutes remaining. One of the officers looked at Abby. "You should go, Captain. Take the last escape pod." Abby shook her head. "The automatic pilot is damaged. Someone needs to fly her." In the weapons core filled the view screen now. A massive chamber with swirling energy at its center. The gravitational technology that would have destroyed human worlds would now be turned against its creators. 1 minute remaining. Abby ordered the last 2 officers to the escape pod. Despite their protests, they finally obeyed, leaving her alone on the bridge. She took manual control of the ship, feeling the vibrations as it pushed forward. Nayari fire continued to hit them, but it no longer mattered. Nothing could stop them now. 30 seconds. The ship entered the core chamber. The energy field surrounding the core reacted to their presence. Alarms blared throughout the facility. Nayari technicians ran in panic. Abby thought of Earth, of her family, of all the people who would live because of what they had done here today. She thought of Maya somewhere in the facility, who had given her life to place the device. She thought of the crews of countless ships, human and Nayari alike, who had died. In this war, 10 seconds, the Stormbreaker accelerated one last time, driving straight toward the heart of the superweapon. In the end, she whispered, it wasn't about destroying but saving. 3, 2, 1. The phase disruptor activated. The gravitational field collapsed. The Stormbreaker impacted the core. A blinding flash of energy erupted. From Selith's ship safely away from the facility, the survivors watched as the superweapon imploded, taking the communication hub and a significant portion of the Nayari fleet with it. The destruction was visible across the nebula, a new star briefly flaring to life, then fading. The war would not end immediately, but the balance had shifted. The Nayari leadership would be thrown into confusion. Their fleets unable to coordinate the human colonies would be safe on Selith's command ship. Kira stood with Brooke and the other survivors. They watched in silence as the light faded. She did it, Brooke said quietly. The captain completed the mission. Kira nodded, feeling both loss and pride. Captain Abby Winters and the UEF Stormbreaker would be recorded as missing in action, having never returned from enemy territory. Only those present would know the full truth. It didn't come back because it had achieved something greater than mere survival. It had won not just a battle, but perhaps the first step toward peace. 3 months later, Admiral Lane received a message transmitted through multiple relays. Its origin point impossible to trace. It contained all the data the Stormbreaker had collected about the Nayari superweapon. It included Captain Winter's final log, and most surprisingly, it contained a peace proposal from a Nayari faction ready to end the war. The single human destroyer that entered enemy territory never came back, but its legacy would change 2 civilizations forever. The end. 2 weeks passed as the Stormbreaker moved deeper into enemy space. The ship traveled in stealth mode with minimal power to systems that might be detected. Captain Abby Winters kept the crew on rotating shifts to maintain alertness. The border crossing into Nayari territory had been tense but uneventful. No enemy ships had detected them. The stealth technology worked better than anyone had hoped. So far, they had passed 3 Nayari patrols without being noticed. Abby sat in her quarters, reviewing star charts when the ship suddenly shuddered. The lights flickered and the engines made a sound she had never heard before. She grabbed her uniform jacket and rushed to the bridge. "What happened?" she demanded. As the door slid open, Chief Engineer Maya Ellis was already on the bridge, her hands moving quickly across the engine control panel. "We hit some kind of stellar storm," she explained. "It caused a power surge in the stealth drive. Is the stealth system still working?" Abby asked, moving to her command chair. "For now," Maya said. But there was a moment, maybe 3 or 4 seconds, when it failed completely. Tactical Officer Kira Monroe looked up from her station. "I detected a Nayari vessel about 500,000 kilometers from our position when it happened." "Did they see us?" Abby asked. "I don't know," Kira replied honestly. "But if I were them, I'd investigate any strange sensor reading in this sector." Abby made a quick decision. "Take us into that asteroid field." She pointed to a dense cluster of space rocks ahead. "It will mask our energy signature and give us cover while Maya fixes the stealth drive." The Stormbreaker changed course, moving carefully among the asteroids. The ship was not designed for such tight maneuvering, but the pilot guided it, skillfully finding a large asteroid to hide behind. In engineering, Maya and her team worked frantically to repair the stealth drive. The system was experimental, and this was the first real problem they had encountered with it. "Captain, I think I can fix it," Maya said over the communication system. "But I have another idea too." "What is it?" Abby asked. "If I reroute power from the secondary life support systems, I might be able to enhance our stealth field, make us even harder to detect." "Is that safe?" Abby wanted to know. Maya hesitated. "Well, need to run on minimal life support for a few days. It'll be cold and the air will feel thin, but it's breathable." "Do it," Abby ordered. 3 hours later, Communications Officer Diane Taylor called Abby to her station. "Captain, I'm picking up Nayari transmissions. Let me hear them." Abby said. Diane played the translated messages. The Nayari spoke in their clicking language, which the computer converted to English. "Anomaly detected in Sector 87J24. Investigate immediately. Count 3 Nayari cruisers responding to the call," Diane said. "They're beginning a search pattern." Abby looked at the tactical display. The Nayari ships were spreading out to cover the asteroid field systematically. They would find the Stormbreaker, eventually, unless they did something. How long until the enhanced stealth system is ready? She asked. Maya wiped sweat from her forehead as she worked. Another 2 hours minimum. We don't have 2 hours, Kira said, pointing at the display. A Nyari scout ship is moving into the asteroid field. It will pass within visual range in 20 minutes, Abby thought quickly. Shut down all non-essential systems, she ordered. Only life support and minimal power to the stealth drive. Everything else goes dark. The crew moved quickly following her orders. Systems powered down one by one until the ship was running on barely more than emergency power. The temperature began to drop immediately, in the darkness. Abby gathered her senior staff in the dimly lit conference room. We need to prepare for the possibility that will be discovered, she said. What are our combat chances against 3 cruisers? Kira asked. Not good, Abby admitted. The Stormbreaker was built for stealth, not direct combat. Science officer Nicole Hayes spoke up. What about the device in cargo hold 7? Could it help us? Abby looked surprised. How do you know about that? Nicole looked embarrassed. I saw it being loaded before we left. I have level 4 clearance, so the manifest wasn't hidden from me. Abby considered this for a moment. Then she made a decision she had been avoiding. I wasn't supposed to tell anyone about this until we reached the Tharsis Nebula. But you're right. We need to consider all options. She took out the small metal box. Admiral, Lane had given her and placed it on the table. Using her command codes, she unlocked it. Inside was a data chip which she inserted into a portable reader. The screen lit up with classified information. Our mission to destroy the communication hub is real, Abby explained as she read. But there's more. The device in cargo hold 7 is a prototype weapon. Something new. The officers leaned closer. It's called a phase disruptor. Abby continued. According to this, it can temporarily disable all Nyari technology within a certain range by targeting a specific frequency their systems use. Could we use it to escape? Brooke Morgan, the security chief, asked. Abby shook her head. No. The range is too small, and the effect only lasts a few minutes. But she paused there. Is something else? The Admiral believes the Nyari are building something in the Tharsis Nebula. Something big. Our secondary mission is to find out what it is, and if possible, use the phase disruptor to destroy it. Before anyone could respond, the ship rocked violently. An alarm sounded despite the power conservation measures. Bridge, Kira called out. We have a situation. The team rushed back to the bridge where the pilot was frantically working the controls. What happened? Abby demanded. Nyari. Scout ship almost hit us. The pilot explained. I had to move or we'd have collided. They definitely saw us on screen. A small Nyari vessel was turning around, coming back for a closer look. Power up weapons, Abby ordered. We can't let them report our position, but the weapons came online too late. The Nyari scout fired first. A blast hit the Stormbreaker's hull, causing damage to the outer plating. Return fire, Abby commanded. The Stormbreaker's guns fired, destroying the small scout ship. But the damage was done there. Calling for reinforcements, Diane reported from communications. The cruisers are moving in. Maya rushed onto the bridge. Captain, the enhanced stealth drive is ready, but I need 5 minutes to bring it online. We don't have 5 minutes. Kira said. The cruisers will be here in 3. Abby made another quick decision. We fight until the stealth drive is ready, she said. Target the lead cruiser. Full power to forward shields. The Stormbreaker moved out from behind the asteroid, firing its main weapons. The Nyari cruiser was hit but not severely damaged. It returned fire along with the other cruisers. The human ship shook with each impact. Hull breach on Deck 4. Kira reported emergency force fields holding. 2 more minutes, Maya called out as she worked. The Stormbreaker continued to fight, firing at each cruiser in turn, trying to keep them at a distance. The smaller human ship was more maneuverable, but the 3 Nyari vessels had it surrounded. Stealth drive online. Maya finally announced. Activate it now, Abby ordered, and get us out of here. Maximum speed. The enhanced stealth field engaged, surrounding the Stormbreaker in a bubble of distorted space. The Nyari cruisers continued firing, but their shots went wide, unable to lock onto the now hidden ship. The Stormbreaker slipped between two of the cruisers and accelerated away. For 3 days they traveled in enhanced stealth mode. The ship was cold with minimal life support. The crew wore thermal suits and huddled together in the mess hall to conserve body heat. But they had escaped as they approached the Tharsis Nebula. Abby looked at the damage reports. The ship had taken significant hits. Several systems were operating at reduced capacity, and the hull had multiple repaired breaches. But they were still moving, still hidden. Abby stood looking at the beautiful colors of the nebula ahead. They had made it this far against the odds. Now it was time to discover what the Nayari were hiding and complete their mission. The real challenge was just beginning.